Welcome to another edition of A Week of Mass Shootings. There were 6 mass shootings this past week, which is more than there was last week, but still a surprisingly low number. I looked back in 2022, there were 8 during the same time frame, and in 2021 there were 13. So we are currently behind the 2021 pace of 690, which was our record-breaking year, but still on pace to kind of rival that number. So let's start with November 13th when there were no mass shootings reported. And we go to our first one on November 14th in Springfield, Massachusetts, where 1 was killed and 3 injured. And this was the second one for Springfield this year. And it happened at the Morgan Manor Apartments. And 42-year-old Emanuel Cruz, he was killed. Happened around 6:20 p.m. And the police found 2 men in a truck, a third on the ground, and a fourth one made it to the hospital on his own. And Cruz, the man that died, was one of the guys that was found in the truck. And no arrests have been made on that one. On November 16th in willoughby, Ohio, 3 were killed and 1 injured. And this was the first one in Willoughby, Ohio this year. And it happened at the Mentor Green Mobile Home Park, where 62-year-old Laura Colin, 81-year-old Thomas Galizia, 63-year-old Terrance Mathis Sr. were all killed, and a 63-year-old man was injured. And you can see the age of these is much older than most of the people that we see in these mass shootings. And our suspect, 47-year-old Jason Norris, he killed himself during a standoff with the police. And this event all started around 4:30 p.m. And the suspect was someone that lived just a couple houses down or mobile homes down from the people that he killed. Okay, there were none on November 17th. So on November 18th in Spring Valley, California, 5 were injured. And this is the first one for Spring Valley. Now notice a pattern of a lot of firsts. And I had a theory in my last video about all the firsts being the cities that can't hide the fact that they're having a mass shooting, where some of the larger cities can hide the fact that they've had mass shootings. When it's your first one, the whole town knows about it, especially in some of these smaller towns. So anyway, Spring Valley, California, it happened at 8:15 p.m. 5 adults were injured by gunfire. 2 teens had burn marks in the incident, and the police were saying it was possibly from fireworks. Police say it may have happened during a party, and the suspect is at large. And police sent out helicopters to find him, but he wasn't immediately caught. Then we go to Little Rock, Arkansas, where an adult male, where 1 was killed and 3 injured. And this is the third one for Little Rock. And the one that was killed was an adult male. It happened around 7:29 p.m. And 1 was found dead at the scene, another injured at the scene, and 3 people showed up later at the hospital. And then we go to Memphis, Tennessee, where 4 were injured, or 4 were killed and 1 injured. And this is a 12th one for Memphis. And this is the 33rd mass murder with a gun this year. And this was a domestic violence incident. And our suspect is 52-year-old Mavis Christian. And he killed 13-year-old Tori Christian. He injured 15-year-old Taylor Logan. He killed Kamala Christian, Ruby Christian, and another adult female, then took his own life. That happened all around 5:43 p.m. And Mavis left the scene first, but then was later found with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So then we go to Port Arthur, Texas, where 5 were injured. And this is the second one in Port Arthur this year. And they're calling it a possible drive-by. It happened around 12:20 a.m. And the police are looking for 2 people of interest in that incident. And some of this stuff that gets a little suspect about these mass shootings is, I've said it every week in this video, that up until the end of August, we were far ahead of the 2021 record-breaking pace. And then suddenly the weeks started coming in with very low numbers. And it was only cities reporting when it was their first one. You weren't getting cities like Chicago. In October, Chicago reported 6, which is not uncommon for Chicago to have that many. But they haven't reported one since October 29th. And that was following one that they had on October 28th as well. And they've had 32 in Chicago this year. They had 44 last year and 60 in 2021. So depending on whether you believe the numbers or not, Chicago's either getting better or they're getting better at hiding their actual numbers. And I'm kind of leaning towards the latter because over the last couple months, there are cities like Memphis reported their 12th one. But when a whole family gets killed, it's kind of hard to hide it. You can hide some of the stuff that happens in the inner cities where it's a drive-by that takes 4 lives. You could call it 3. Stuff like that. You can hide some of that, but the family thing in Memphis, you can't hide that. People are going to be asking questions. But for the most part lately, for the last month or two, it's mainly just cities that are suffering their first or second one. They're smaller cities that they don't get enough of them to try to hide it, or they're too small to even try. You can't hide stuff in a town of 10,000 people. Everybody's going to know about it. Whereas Chicago, you could easily hide it, and nobody, unless you're really paying attention, no one's even going to notice. This is a weekly video, so if you like this type of content, hit that like button, leave your thoughts in the comments, and consider subscribing. And I'll catch you next week.